Annmarie, what does the US want out of these talks? Does it just want China not to help Russia, or does it want China to actively talk Russia down, i.e. find a way out of this?
Well, I think it would be the latter, Guy, but I think they're willing to take what they can get in this moment. At the moment, China has tried to remain somewhat neutral. They haven't come out and condemned what Russia is doing outright, but at the same time, they've also have called for peace, and they've held calls with Ukraine as well. I think a lot of focus will be on if there's any potential of China giving military assistance. From the reporting over the weekend, U.S. officials saying that that is an ask that Putin has made to Beijing, but so far there's been no reporting or intel that China is actually following up on that. So I think this meeting comes at a critical time for the U.S. to be frank with Beijing on what they would expect, and for them would be putting the pressure on Putin to make sure that he knows that he would be crossing that line with really what is his only closest ally right now if he were to continue with this war.
Annmarie, talk to us a little bit about how you square the United States' own tensions with China. We're talking about tariffs, a trade war that's kind of ongoing in the background with their relationship with Russia in particular. How do those two conflicts kind of work together or work against each other?
Well, I think at this moment it might actually help the United States, not the fact that they've had this trade conflict over the past few years, and that's likely going to continue. But when you look at trade, even though Russia and China, their trade between the two countries have reached new heights since 2015. When you look at military arms going from Russia to China, even though China has some better technology, that dwarfs what China has in trade between the European Union and the United States. And this is really telling what Secretary Raimondo said last week, really putting chip makers on guard about usurping and going around U.S. sanctions to make sure these Chinese companies know that they need to come in line with the sanctions regimes and they can't be seen helping President Putin.
A headline coming through on the story that we're covering: Russia may halt wheat, corn, rye, barley exports on March the 15th. This according to Interfax. We'll try and get some details on what exactly is happening here, but that would have serious implications and ramifications, certainly in North Africa and Egypt, in places like that, Annmarie. So the cost of this is going to spread out and continue to be a global phenomenon. Which brings me to my kind of last question here. The Chinese, as you say, are heavily interlinked into the global economy. If they provide a route for Russia to find its way back into the global economy, there's a risk of secondary sanctions here. How clear is the US going to be to China that it doesn't want to go down that road?
Well, I think Jake Sullivan over the weekend, the president's national security advisor, signaled that there have been these very direct conversations in private. And now just the fact that he is going to Rome, meeting with the top Chinese diplomat, I think proves that these conversations are going to be pretty direct, face to face. I imagine that is what they are going to say to his Chinese counterpart.